Alright, welcome back for another replay cast. This is going to be my last match as the Wood Elves. And I normally would not cast a mirror match, but this is a fun and a fast-paced game. And my opponent and I have very different builds, so still going to have some good, just some good complexity to the match here. So for myself, I'm playing as Durthu. Brought him because I wanted to get some more experience as him. I like him as a lord. Just fun having one of these big chungus kind of guys. Huge unit, a lot of damage output. And that's basically that. Got three squads of Deepwood Scouts, the Wardens of Sithrall, regiments of renowned Wildwood Rangers with them. All these guys in Vanguard deployment over here to get forward on the point, try to get some good positioning. 2 squads of Glade Riders and 3 squads of Eternal Guard with shields. For my opponent, he's got a Glade Lord on a Great Stag. He has got 2 squads of Glade Guard with Hagbane Tips. 2 squads of Standard Eternal Guard, 1 with shields, Way Watchers, a Way Stalker supporting them, Wildwood Rangers, and War Dancers. So let's get into this. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because the action kind of gets started pretty quickly. So you see he's got some shooting in on my Glade Guard. I wanted to send them forward and see what he was getting into as far as his units and whatnot, if there was anything hidden. I couldn't see exactly what was shooting at me, but I figured it was Way Watchers or Deepwood Scouts. And my idea here was that this army that I started off with was all going to be about controlling point 3. So Eternal Guard with shields to sustain some of the missile fire from the other Wood Elf player, kind of get a defensive formation. Deepwood Scouts have extra range compared to Glade Guard, so they can get a little bit of an edge there. I didn't need Way Watchers, I felt, because I don't feel that the Wood Elves have too much armored units, and so I figured having Deepwood Scouts would help me save some money off of Way Watchers and still have good damage output. Wardens of Sithrall are going to help me protect this backline in case my opponents brought cavalry play. And the Glade Guard are there to provide some backline pressure. So posturing going on here, trying to figure out who's going to be, kind of lined up in what way around this point. Got all my troops in the back, sitting back here. I want to see how he's going to move before I show my hand with what kind of archers I've got and how many I have. So here we go, starting to charge in. Glade Riders in the woods. I wanted to keep them over here so he couldn't see what I was doing with them, if I'm running around this way, if I'm staying over here. And I wanted to keep him uncomfortable with his archers. He's got a couple of squads over here on point 1. He will be probably capturing that soon. You can see the weight going up now pretty quickly. A lot of shooting going in. My Eternal Guards have been pretty well beat up by the Way Watchers and the Glade Guard. Glade Riders coming around the back. I was really keeping an eye on the Vanguard reinforcement point and make sure that he didn't stop these guys, but I guess he couldn't see that they were there because they were hidden. And right now I'm just watching how his spearmen are moving around, and I realized he didn't have a squad guarding these guys. So as these guys are shifting, these guys are already committed. I'm like, all right, if I charge him with both cavalry, he's gonna have to try to grab one of them with the Eternal Guard. Shifting around him, you see that little move to the side. And here I'm just trying to dive on the cab. Now the Wildwood Rangers are getting pulled towards these guys, so the archers are moving in their direction. And these guys are now being sacrificed. And so basically what I was doing was just throw them in there, shut down the Way Watchers and the Glade Guard who are applying the poison, and just shut down the shooting and give my archers some time to play. Glade Lord charging in to the Wardens of Sithrall. I'm not sure if he realized that these were regiments of renown guys, so they have the anti-large. Normally they wouldn't. And his lord is about to take a beating because Durthu's coming over here. Unfortunately for me, these experienced Hawk Riders are jumping on top of my Deepwood Scouts. But I've got these Lost Sylvan Knights over here. And these guys are going to be charging in, supporting the Glade Guard and really getting some more damage in there. Also, big cast of Flock of Doom from Durthu coming down. I'm hitting 5 different units there. I think 2 of them are, or one of them is a Way Stalker, so he's not going to take too much. But looks like an arrow of Kernus coming in on Durthu. Durthu and the Wardens of Sithrall chasing off the Glade Lord. He's going to be doing some running. He's pretty quick, so I'm not going to be able to chase him down. Now I'm going to switch priorities and try to fight these Hawk Riders off of my poor Deepwood Scouts that got smashed by these guys. One of my squads of Eternal Guard was kind of freed up because I pulled their front line over this way with the Glade Riders. And so they were able to help take out some of these models and get a lot of damage on the Hawk Riders. Glade Riders who had been chased off are coming in to support. Lost Sylvan Knights are just wreaking havoc in the backfield. These guys are ethereal, and they're providing frostbite, so he's limiting these guys' ability to run away. And they're not taking too much damage considering, I mean, they basically been in the mix against 5 different squads of units. Some of them were already crushed by the Glade, or excuse me, by the Wildwood Rangers and the Eternal Guard and whatnot, but I might have just reversed things. I might have just been telling them the damage that they were doing, but as opposed to my Glade Riders doing some damage on their Way Watchers and whatnot. But regardless, you get the point. Now at this point, you're going to start seeing what I was looking to do with my reinforcements. I brought a lot of War Dancers, and what I figured was that these units are going to be, along with these Dryads, these units are going to be where I control point 2. The tree lines and whatnot is going to shut down the shooting and kind of deem that ineffective for the most part, and so I don't need to worry about them having basically no armor as long as I can get them in there. And they're probably the best anti-infantry for their cost against units that don't have high armor. And again, the Wood Elves don't have a lot of high armor troops. So I think I brought like 5 squads of War Dancers in my back pocket. You can see their front lines buckled. Waystalker's getting chased off. The Glade Lord's pretty beaten up. Glade Lord's going to be running here to jump on top of my War Dancers and support these Glade Guard. And that's going to be good for the Glade Lord. You know, my War Dancers are going to be able to do too much damage against them. But now just, you know, positioning these Deepwood Scouts around here, keeping this choke point controlled. 1 squad of Eternal Guard in case they bring some cavalry in here. Another squad over here. Wardens of Cithrall. Again, these guys do have anti-large, and they're just going to chase these Way Watchers and try to pressure them off. These guys are relatively fast, 38 speed. Two behind the Way Watchers, but as long as I can keep them running, I didn't realize this is a 9 max Chevron squad of Way Watchers. So chasing them off is going to be pretty good value. Another Flock of Doom coming down. Glade Guard are doing pretty good number on my War Dancers over here with the shooting they're able to get off. So, and I had a lot of mana, or what would you call it, Winds of Magic saved up to this point. So Durthu really was mainly casting, what's it called, Flock of Doom this match. I brought Pan's Pelt, but mostly Flocks of Doom, given what my enemy's build was. War Dancers fighting against the Eternal Guard over here. Another squad of War Dancers chasing down Glade Guard. Another squad of War Dancers fighting some other Eternal Guard over here, and they're always going to be winning that matchup against these type of infantry. Glade Lord kind of just hanging around in the back trying to avoid direct confrontation. I've got another squad of Eternal Guard of my own. Actually, this is their War Dancers fighting over here against my Eternal Guard. I'm getting mixed up with the units and the flags. So I got the, what do you call, the War Grove of Woe flag, and he's got the normal, I forget what the name is, but the main Wood Elf flag. So either way, their Glade Lord comes in and gets a rear charge of my Eternal Guard, kind of breaks their spirit. But I got more War Dancers coming in, as well as more Eternal Guard, trying to put some pressure on them. And right now, we're trying to get some capture weight on point 2. My opponent is ahead on victory points. I'm ahead on gold value. Durthu trying to catch the Glade Lord, and this was not a good idea on him because running out into the open field, you can see he's going to try to do some dodging here, but running out in the open field when I've got all these Deepwood Scouts, not a great look. Unfortunately for me, he's got a whole thing of Hawk Riders coming back in. These guys have 9 chevrons, and they're just going to crash down and crush these Deepwood Scouts. So not a good look there. Going to lose some shooting, but these guys are pretty low on ammunition, so they got their values worth. And now the Hawk Riders, with their very low armor, are going to start taking a hurting. And I'm going to be very interested to see what the damage values are on his Way Watchers and the Deepwood Scouts and the War Dancers and whatnot, and see who was pulling what kind of weight. I noticed that my opponent had left point 1 unoccupied, so I ran some War Dancers over here. But then I saw this Forest Dragon, so I'm like, oh shit, I need to get them out of there and try to figure out a way to keep my infantry safe from the Forest Dragon. And so you're going to see a little bit of movement trying to figure out what to do against this thing, because the only way I can take this thing down is with some heavy shooting or some Eternal Guard or something like that. And he's gonna wreck my War Dancers with this guy. You know, they've got okay attack and they've got okay damage, but they're really meant to be an anti-infantry troop, these War Dancers. And you can see the bodies just flying down there. So Durthu with the assistance from the Deepwood Scouts, was able to take out the Glade Lord, so my opponent is without their Lord at this point. I was able to intercept him at some point with the Wild Hunters of Kurnus. I believe he was able to move back this way, and sorry if I missed that. I believe his Lord was able to move back this way and keep dodging some of the shots from my Deepwood Scouts, especially with the Hawk Riders coming down. But I had summoned in these guys as another sweeper unit, anti-large, very fast, 85 speed on these Wild Hunters of Kurnus, and they were able to chase him down over in this direction and finish him off. So now I brought them over this way, and I'm trying to get them on top of the Forest Dragon. These Eternal Guard, who are kind of sitting on the middle of the point, have moved over to help there. My opponent's still ahead in victory points, but at this point I captured point 1. His Forest Dragon kind of redirected, so I was able to do that safely. Got more Glade Riders over here in case they have any troops that they try to get over here quickly and put some pressure on my War Dancers with. Say they have Deepwood Scouts or Way Watchers or something that I don't see coming because of their stalk ability. And now I'm just going to try to stay away from this guy. You see I'm running the other way with these Glade Riders. I don't want to take a charge from them. These guys aren't going to be any kind of threat to the Forest Dragon. Now on the other side, my opponent's got his Waystalker and Deepwood Scouts coming out here. And this is exactly why I brought more Glade Riders on both sides, because I wasn't sure if he was going to try to come out and pull an ambush. The Wood Elves are pretty good at that, especially on a map like this. So I had one squad of Glade Riders on both sides of the map that I brought in from reinforcements, and I figured they would be able to chase off any kind of shooting that might come in. Now here, this is a lapse in micro for me. These Glade Riders are taking so much damage because they're just sitting on top of one Waystalker, but they're not even going to be able to threaten that much. So I needed to be right-clicking as much as I could to get them off of this guy and charge back into this shooting, which is luckily happening now. And so point 1, still feeling all right there. I'm not sure where my... Okay, I did run the War Dancers back around. I thought that the Forest Dragon was going to chase them this way, so I ran them all the way back around here. I think I gave him a shift cue to run back into this way. And I figured that at this point, I could probably just try to go for a double cap and not worry too much about splitting myself up. 4,000 ahead in value trading, got a couple more units on the field, and I'm starting to pull ahead on the victory points. Now my opponent's got his Forest Dragon coming over to support his Deepwood Scouts, his Waystalker, his Way Watchers, and the rest of his troops that are coming on, some Glade Guard, Eternal Guard, and they're rushing for point 3, and he's starting to get some capture weight on that. So I got the Wild Hunters of Kurnus coming over here. Ideally, I get these guys on top of the Forest Dragon, but I figured just crashing in and crushing their shooting would be a good look. Big breath attack coming on to a high value unit, so Wild Hunters of Kurnus taking a lot of damage, but now these guys are by themselves. And so now I'm doing the right clicking again, just trying to get through there and get on top of them in the woods. Point 3, still mine. I'm just sitting on this, just waiting to see if they try to redirect any of their infantry through here. So Durthu backing up the Eternal Guard, War Dancer sitting in the back. And at this point, I'm seeing everybody's facing. You know, you follow the eyes kind of thing. Everybody's facing point 3, so that's what he's going for, and that's what I'm going to start competing for. So War Dancers, Eternal Guard charging out of the woods. Again, when you're in a situation like this and you got control over point 2, it's interesting how the play on the flanks works for points 1 and 3, because you can set up these little, I kind of want to call it an ambush, because if you're hiding in the woods, they might not know exactly what you've got waiting in store for them. War Dancers going into their Eternal Guard. Those are my War Dancers going into their Eternal Guard. Eternal Guard on my squad going over here and trying to grab these, just chop the Waystalker. He's going to cut through them pretty quickly, especially with the help of the Glade Guard. But I've got another squad of Deepwood Scouts coming in with some good experience. Again, deploying out of the woods, so they can't always react to it right away. Another squad coming over here on the other side. Durthu still sitting in the back. I'm really trying to not be overconfident with him. This is something I was really paying attention to this match. I really wanted to not be overconfident with him just because he's a big beast of a guy. I wanted to make sure I was getting all my spell points out of him, because if he goes down, not only the leadership buff, but he was my only caster in this matchup. And I've had plenty of matches where I lose my Lord because I'm playing recklessly with them. I think just because they're a Lord and they're expensive, they're going to go in and wreak a bunch of havoc, and then they get shot down by a bunch of missile play or by some hefty anti-large unit. Lost Sylvan Knights coming in here, chasing off the Waystalker, making sure that he gets all the way off the field and that he doesn't have a chance to return. The Forest Dragons jumped on top of my Wild Hunters of Kurnus, but unfortunately for him, that's not going to be a good trade. And at this point, I'm going to fast forward. I probably could have done this a little bit earlier, but I'm kind of getting lost in the narration process. foregone conclusion this game is, and that's basically that. So good game to my opponent. It was a nice fast-paced match. I think that's kind of what the Wood Elves are going to lend themselves towards, especially in a mirror match. But man, there was so much movement, and it was just like a more dynamic match than I'm used to. I think the action was shifting a lot compared to what I feel is going on in other matches. So it was pretty fun. And I will say I was kind of dreading it when it first started because it was a mirror match, but I had a lot of fun in this match. So quick look at stats. Durthu, decent amount of value given how much health he lost. He really was just sitting in the back dropping flocks of doom and occasionally getting some hits in on big targets like the Hawk Riders or their Lord. Wardens of Cithral did not do as good as I thought they would have. Deepwood Scouts, man, they crushed it. All these guys got over double their value. Eternal Guard, a lot of these guys got chewed up by missile fire in the beginning. Look at that. Yeah, the Glade Riders of Spears did really good. I want to say this unit cost like 500 or 550 or something like that. So they did pretty well. Lost Sylvan Knights did all right. Yeah, I think they cost 2,000, so actually not great, especially since they were resummoned. But either way, Wild Hunters of Kernus did pretty good. War Dancers all did decent. I can't remember how much they cost. I want to say 750 or so. So they did all right. Not as good as I would have expected. Same thing with these Dryads, didn't do as good as I expected. But for my opponent, Glade Lord didn't get too much value. Way Watchers didn't get too much value. Way Stalker not so much. Their Wildwood Rangers did a pretty good amount of work. I think these guys cost 800, something like that. So they did pretty good. Alright value on his Glade Guard. Nothing special on the Eternal Guard. Way Watchers not great. They might have cost even more than that, given how much experience he put on them. And he didn't get to bring his Zotes in. So again, good play to my opponent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.